Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Sanitation meeting for Tuesday, January the 21st, 2014. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce himself, beginning on my far right.
Ed Bell.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, board members. The next order of business is reading of minutes. Before you have presented the minutes from the meeting dated Monday, December the 16th, 2013. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
I have none.
If there's no questions, comments, or corrections, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
Make said motion.
And I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries. Thank you. There's no unfinished business to carry over from the previous meeting. Under new business, we have two orders of business this evening. First is a billing contract, and I think I'll defer to the clerk for explanation, and then I'll call the sanitation clerk up for comments as well. Dan?
Okay. Actually, what we're proposing to do is go with Keystone, who is our software provider that we use at the present time. The reasoning behind this is postage has gone up where we will be going to full price for postage on our billing if we don't do this because of something they require, which is a 10-digit number that they have to have on every bill that goes out. So anyway, we've been researching this for about the last 60 days or so, and Linda has actually found out by the time we buy the paper for the bills, the toner, the time involved, everything involved, it will actually save the city money in going to this program. And they print all the bills, they mail them, and I think there's a copy of the bill in your packet. And I'll just let Linda go on from there because she's done a good job researching this.
Good evening. The reasoning this started is because the post office is no longer going to recognize our CAS certification, which is that, it looks like a UPC symbol on the bottom of your bill, which sorts it by zip code and everything, and that's why we get the cut rate for postage. So our software people proposed to use, it's called voice mail for bills, and there's a one-time setup fee of $850. There's an annual fee of $900 a year. The postage, they get a cut rate. There's 19 cents for each bill added to the postage. They will provide a return envelope. They do all the printing. They mail them out. When I did research on what it costs, right now for us, using the way we do it now, because each one of those blank bill forms is $1 a page. So that's a big chunk of it. But I added up the postage, what it costs for the bill forms. They charge shipping to send those blank bill forms to us, the toner. It costs us around $83,000 a year. And that's not including the time that it takes and all that. When I did the research for the voicemail, it's going to cost us around $32,000 a year. That's a savings of almost $50,000 right there. Plus, when I do the bills now, when I print them, it takes me a full 9 hours, and I have to walk back and forth about every 15, 20 minutes to refill and all that and put the bills in the tray. I just think this is a really good proposition, especially since it's going to save us so much money. And I like the fact that they print them, they provide a return envelope. Maybe people won't complain so much about the glue not sticking on the return envelope we have now. There is a copy, the last sheet shows an example of what the bill would look like. And it looks like you would tear off the top and return with your payment in the envelope, just like other utility bills. So I would like for this to be taken into consideration. I hope we can decide to do it. If so, it could probably be implemented within about 2 months. So it would only cost us the full price for postage for a couple of months. So,
Linda, also, I know our machinery to do this is getting old, and the cost of that machinery is very, very expensive. So
yeah, the folder sealer is about, 8 years old, 9 years old? We pretty much every month have to call them out to maintenance it. When I start folding and sealing it, they'll get stuck and they won't be folding right. And so they have to come out. And a new one, just for that machine, is about $12,000. So it will save on the wear and tear on that. It's still perfectly good to fold and seal the checks that we do, because we don't do as many checks as bills. Bills monthly is around 4,700 individual bills that we do. So,
All right, questions from board members?
Well, if there was going to be a savings of 50,000, I'm not going to buck it. Can this be like on a trial basis, or once you, let's say,
I didn't ask that, but I would imagine we could do it for a year and see, because there is that one-time setup fee and then that $900 annual fee. And that's I included all those charges when I calculated the savings, so.
Okay.
But I would think, we could do it for a year and see how it works.
And we contacted other communities that use this, and we never had any that had an issue with it, so.
No,
I just think it's a win-win for the city.
Any questions from board members?
If we had to add anything onto the bill, could you put it on?
Yes, we can. If we end up going with the stormwater,
Yep,
it
that's-
can be added on
my
there. We
question.
could put memos on there as far as, whatever we wanted it to say. And also, this one here shows what they previously paid.
yeah, we're
for
gonna have
ours.
on there showing their last payment, which the bills now don't show the payments at all, which I don't think is right. I want to see my payment on there, reflected. But I believe we're starting in the next month or two, we're going to put the storm water on there with a $0 amount, just to get people's attention. Maybe they'll start asking questions. We can kind of ease them into, that stormwater charge that's going to be going on their bills. Plus, on these new bills, there's more space down here to put like an explanation, or if the mayor wants an announcement made, or the clerk treasurer wants an announcement, there's more room to put something like that on there.
How many man hours of time do you think it'll save us?
Pardon me?
Man hours? How much man hours will it save us?
Well, it takes 9 hours to print the bills. And like I said, I'm walking back and forth and everything. I could be doing a lot of other things in that 9 hours,
And then at
so.
the same time, we have street department people come over, and they actually take them to the post office, and there's at least 2 of them normally when they,
And sometimes they grumble. No,
Yeah.
they don't.
no.
They're very nice about it.
But, so we're pulling them off of tasks they could be doing too. So, I'd say 12 hours anyway, minimum.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have none.
I'll ask for a motion from the board to approve entering into an agreement with Boyce concerning Beech Grove Sewage Works billing.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Also, Board, I'll need a motion to allow the clerk to enter into an agreement on behalf of the Board of Works.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Sanitary sewage collection agreement with MD Wessler. Brent, good evening.
Thank you and good evening. I would like to present to the board for their consideration Amendment Number 9 to the agreement dating back to 2005 for providing on-call sanitary services. We've actually been doing this work, not me personally, but the company has since 1983, where we assist the city of Beech Grove with the operation, maintenance, and planning of their sanitary collection system. This work specifically is for maintaining the flow meters, calibrating them, putting together an annual flow report, coordinating with potential connections. Okay, a good example would be Teachers Credit Union, working with them to get them to connect to the system. They're under Emerson Avenue, coordinating with Citizens Energy Group on issues that may occur in the fringe there between the Beech Grove District and Citizens Energy Group District. So it's basically whatever we can help you out with, whatever you need help with on the sanitary collection system side. The compensation would be for $20,000. That's what it was last year and the year before that, and we actually had a couple $1,000s left over that we were able to use this month for preparing the annual report that covers last year. So be happy to entertain any questions you have. Again, this is an amendment. The only thing that's changing for the original agreement dating back to 2005 is just simply providing for these services in 2014 not to exceed $20,000 on a time and materials basis.
Floor is open for questions.
None.
So, any new development, you would review the sanitary sewers?
Yes.
And stormwater sewers?
This is just for the sanitary.
It's just
Mary
san-
will actually have something for the storm sewer work. So, someone calls up and says, hey, I'm looking at developing this area, or I've got problems and I'd like to connect to the sanitary system. We help them determine where they should connect, help them facilitate getting the paperwork in place, and also doing the plan review to make sure what they plan on putting in is per the city standards, and that it's not going to leak or fall apart.
Any further questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve Amendment Number 9 to the agreement between the Board of Sanitation for the City of Beech Grove and Wessler Engineering for 2014 engineering services.
Make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much for the opportunity. Appreciate it very much.
We will double back to item number 4. I wanted to do that to relieve them and to the fact that we have 2 dockets tonight, Board. The first docket that we're going to approve is dated January the 6th, 2014. Payable vouchers consisting of 3 pages in the amount of $355,527.64. The floor is open for questions.
I see on the last page, on Wessler Engineering, the top, for quite a large amount, $16,628. Is that on the project, is that the final phase?
Brad?
Are you on page 3?
Or, Brad's not here.
I'm gonna have to look at it, but I'm assuming that's for stormwater rates, and that's.
That's the first phase of the
That's-
stormwater utility.
they did
Okay.
The measurements and everything like that, yeah.
Okay.
I reviewed the docket on January the 7th and talked to Dan on a few questions that I had, and I'm good. Thank you.
I'd like to make a statement. I sent out information to the entire board just to let them know. I had talked to State Board of Accounts, and ordinarily, we do not pay bills without board approval. I sent this out to them, and because some of them, the time frame they were in and so forth, I got permission from State Board of Accounts under emergency situation that I could do that. So I'm not, if you seen the check out there that's gonna be online, I'm not just arbitrarily paying these bills without permission from the board, but at the same time, they needed to be paid. Their stance on it was, it's common sense, we need to get them taken care of, and so that's what was done.
That emergency was the snow that we had on
Yes.
the 5th and 6th.
Right.
It's understandable.
If there are no other questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims for January the 6th, 2014, in the amount of $355,527.64.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Board, you have a second docket of claims dated January the 21st, 2014. You have payable vouchers of 6 pages in the amount of $135,879.36. Floor is open for questions.
I have one question on page 1, Citizen Energy Group, sewage ID, PW wastewater for $49,660.
Okay, what that is our portion that we pay for them to do projects in the city, like the project they're doing down at Southport and 37. That all falls underneath that claim. But anyway, the previous year, we never got billed the entire year for that. So part of this amount was for the previous year. We paid everything to deplete that account down to nothing. And then this would have been a portion of this year plus whatever the remainder was the previous year.
At Southport and 37?
Yeah, they're, I don't know what that's called out down there, but,
All of our wastewater that we generate
Oh, goes there.
travels to
Gotcha.
there.
Okay.
Then
I'm
the
with
city's
you.
agreed to pay their portion of the updates to that treatment facility.
Okay, I gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have none, Mayor.
I had one other one, page 5, Fazoli's for $2,000 sewage refund.
That was a spaghetti special.
we ate good over the snow. No, what
Knew it
actually,
was coming, right?
what actually happened on that was when Citizens Energy sent us the readings, there was several commercial properties that were misread, and Fazoli's went ahead and just paid the bill for what it was. So we refunded them $2,000, and then we still had probably enough for 2 more payments that they would owe. So that's what they requested. We said we can do it as a credit, or we can issue you a check. And so they chose for us to issue them a check.
Okay, thank you. And I
If
have
there are no other
questions.
questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims dated January the 21st, 2014, in the amount of $135,879.36.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes all business for the Board of Sanitation for this evening. Comments from board members?
I
I have none.
I want to say thank you to Brad and, excuse me, all the guys. Hard work out there. It's been tough. And looks like we're going to have another wave coming in. But one question, though, how's our salt coming supply?
Not as good as I would like for it to be. We've got a little bit left, but it's dwindling fast.
All right.
And also, thank you to Linda for checking into that billing process. It's nice to save the city some money when we can, and man-hours. So thanks, Linda.
There's no other questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:21 PM. We will convene the Board of Works and Safety in 10 minutes. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. In lieu of a roll call, I'll ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Ed Bell.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, board members. Before you is presented minutes from the previous meeting dated Monday, December the 16th, 2013. This time the floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
I have none.
If there's no corrections, comments, or questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We will bypass approval of claims temporarily, go to unfinished business, which there is none tonight, move to new business. At this time, there's 4 items. We will proceed with the bid opening for skid steer. We had 1 bid submitted. And at this time, I'll ask Sandy to open the bid, please.
And it is taped very good. And the bid is from MH Equipment Company, 5859 West Raymond Street, Indianapolis. And the bid amount is $73,998.23.
Thank you. What we will do now is we will take it under advisement. I will proceed with the Public Works Director, and we'll have our city attorney look at it. And then at our next meeting on February the 3rd, we will announce whether we accept the bid or not. So thank you for submitting your bid. So hold on to that down. Next order of business is a letter for compliance position hiring request. And I'll ask the clerk to read the letter into the record.
Dear Board, it is my recommendation to the Board that the city hire a compliance officer. This is a position that was added into the 2014 budget and salary ordinance. This position will function under the supervision of both the Director of Public Works and Fire Chief. The compliance officer will perform inspections for grass violations, trash violations, fire code violations, etc. The position will work in coordination with the Marion County Health Department to resolve issues with properties that are in non-compliance with current city ordinances. The salary for this position will be no more than $15 per hour and no more than $25,000 per year. There is money in the 2014 budget to fund this position. Thank you for your consideration at this time. Respectfully, Brad Merriweather, Director of Public Works.
Floor is open for questions or comments.
I am excited about this. Beech Grove really needs a compliance officer. Long time needed.
Yes, that's the most complaints I get, phone calls on, so.
I'd really like to see this et cetera spelled out a little more than just grass violation, trash violations, and fire code. I mean, I'm not asking to see that, I'm just really excited about this position to get Beech Grove cleaned up a little bit.
And information for the board, when this was designed, it's a part-time position with no benefits other than pay. And it was designed that more than one person can do it. So theoretically, the fire chief and the public works director could hire 2 or 3 people to do this job. The parameters are they have to make $15 an hour, and the total thing can't be over $25,000 for the year.
Per person or for the
For the
entire
entire
position?
thing. So those are the parameters that we would work under. But anyway, we have to get approval first to even start the process. So is there any other questions or comments?
So, like, does this person have to have specific qualifications or experience, background to do this type of work? Or is it something that you can train or guide?
Rob and I both wrote a job description for it, so the et cetera is spelled out. Mine's a couple pages, I think his is a couple pages. And we go through responsibilities, requirements, skills, knowledge, things like that. We can make that available to you if you'd like.
I would like to see it. Thank you.
The fire inspector would have to be certified by the state. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to allow the fire chief and the public works director to hire compliance officer or officers for the purpose of doing inspections.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Next order of business, board, is the local public agency consulting contract between the City of Beech Grove and United Consulting Engineers for the Beech Grove sign replacement program. And I think I'll preface this by, Brad, if you could come up real quick and just very briefly describe what we're about to do here, or what this program is. And then I'll call Bill and Brian up.
And this is the sign replacement?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we received a federal grant, I believe it was 9010, to do a sign replacement program for the city of Beech Grove. And basically what it does is it takes all regulatory signs, speed limits, stop signs, and named signs for the streets, and allows us to replace all those that don't meet the current reflectivity standards, which I would say about 80 to 90% of ours do not. Most of them are old. We kind of replace signs as we can afford to, and as we have complaints, whether something's fallen down or been graffitied beyond cleaning, or if it just looks so bad that we notice it and we replace it. But this will allow us to kind of do a citywide sweep and replace most of the signs that we have to meet the current federal guidelines. It's a great thing. We were really lucky to get it. I don't think at the time when we got it, I realized how much money we got, but I know a lot of places got half to less than half of what we received, which was in the neighborhood of $680,000 or $690,000. So,
Is there a certain date when they all have to be replaced by?
as far as the federal program, they keep moving it around. I mean, they come out with those things, and I think they try to give people some leniency because it's really almost not doable unless you get some help, which is obviously why this money's available. They know that most people in their budget don't have the ability to go out and spend $500,000 or $600,000 or $700,000 to replace all the signs in their city. And hardly anyone, I think, unless you've done a new project within the last year or two, probably meets those new standards. So it's not anything that's in effect yet. This will put us in really good shape once we get this done. And I know we have this contract now to go ahead and proceed. Everything is kind of waiting on that. And then once we get that, we can actually start to do some of the work and the inventory and things like that that we need to do to see where we need to replace signs and how many we're going to need, which, like I said, is going to be almost everything other than maybe Main Street and the roundabout, things that are relatively new.
And this, once you get this done, will this hopefully have money left for an inventory for damage or?
Part of the money will go to creating an inventory of the signs, real similar to what we did probably with the totes. When they put together that tote inventory, this will be something similar where we will know what signs we have, what got replaced. So we'll now have a date for all these signs that we know are new, and that will help us going forward.
I think, very briefly, how did United Consulting get picked over? How did they end up getting this?
Yeah, when you have something like this, basically you put out for a request for proposals, and it's kind of like a bid. Everybody has the ability to put in a request or a proposal. So everybody puts in a packet that gets reviewed by a team of people, including myself, Phil Gerganis, Tom Hannon. We look that over and score it, and the scoring sheet, it basically asks you a number of questions and assigns a point value. And throughout that, you then narrow down who is the top firm for the project. So that's how United scored the highest. I think we had 7 proposals. So there's quite a few people that put in for it. I know these jobs, I don't always get that many. I think that was as many as I got for Main Street. So for a job this size, that was quite a few proposals to get in.
And who did it for Main Street?
Who did the
work?
Crossroads ended up getting that.
I'm just showing the fairness here.
Yeah. And we have a team of people so that it's a cumulative score. It's not one person that's, assigning the score, which is really what we wanted to move towards. I know in the past there's been situations where it would be only one person, and sometimes these things are a little subjective, so it's nice to have, multiple inputs on something like this. And some of the questions are on past performance. Some of the questions go back to projects they've done in the past and how they were scored. So obviously they have a very good history and have received good scores in the past from other people. So then they get a good credit versus someone else that maybe didn't have the best past scores. That would maybe hurt you. So it takes into consideration a lot of things. It's not just do you like this person or not.
And I think the last time that the city did this was through United as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was back in the 70s, I believe, early 70s maybe. And they did the same thing. So we're really excited to get it. Like I said, without it, this would be a daunting task to try to meet those regulations. So this is really helpful.
Well done, Brad.
Thanks.
Bill or Brian, do you want to come up and kind of explain this for us?
I am Brian Pearson with United Consulting. As Brad said, $685,000, just to throw some numbers out there, is the amount of money that was awarded for the total project. That includes the professional services, the design, the construction or the installation of the signs that are going to be replaced, as well as construction inspection. So the agreement that we've put together that's in front of you is for design services, totaling $94,000. With the 90-10 split that Brad mentioned, that ends up being a local cost of $9,400, and the federal cost that gets picked up through the funding that was acquired is $84,600. The initial professional services we provide are basically broken into two parts. The first half is the inventory that you were asking about, Ed. That's something we're going to do up front. We're going to go inventory all the existing signs. We're going to measure how tall they are, how far from the street they are, their reflectivity, how you give a visual test if you can see them or not. All that gets tabulated into a big spreadsheet, all for your guys' records to keep. And that also leads us into the next phase of our design, which is determining which signs get replaced and putting a priority order on those signs. So, the ones that are really, really bad get replaced first, and money-wise, you keep doing it until it runs out. But as Brad mentioned, there's a good amount of money in there, so there's a good chance that a fair amount of signs in the city are going to get replaced with this project.
I have a question. Besides this, how about the quality of the signs, the gauge, the thickness? I've noticed some of the signs, it seems like, are
As far as
pretty
the actual
light.
sign,
Yeah,
the
pretty
metal of the sign
lightweight.
itself.
Yeah.
As I would say, as long as that sign is holding up visually, it's not showing signs of wear or bending or the reflective materials not coming off of it, that probably would not alone be a factor for replacement.
Okay.
It's more of the visual aspect of the sign. Can you read it? Of course, if there's something going on with that sign and the metal is bending, or it's obviously got some other stress loads on it that's not working for that sign, or the post itself is not sturdy enough to hold up that sign, that would be a candidate for replacement.
Any other questions?
I'm done.
I want to defer to the clerk for a minute because when the budget was being put together, I wanted to talk about how the money was set aside for these projects.
Well, when we first did this, I think, and it's been a while back, but I think we budgeted 60,000 because the 10% would have been 68.5 or something
Right,
like
yep.
that. And at that time, I believe Brad said that all the street signs in the city would not be replaced. So we figured that 60,000 would be a comfortable number to get us through. So I guess my question would be, without looking at these, you don't know where we're gonna be at right at the moment, ballpark wise, or, I mean, are we in the money at 60,000 that we've got budgeted? That would be amount of 600,000 at the 90-10.
To replace all the street name signs
Yes.
and things like that.
Yeah,
We've estimated approximately 900 signs throughout the city, and with a construction budget of 525,000. Honestly, I'm not sure if what percentage of signs that replaces. Could be 70 to 80%, and the inventory will allow us to kind of prioritize those. But there are other things that we can do as far as, if the street name signs are a priority, those can be, included in the construction plans that we put together as a higher priority.
now, does this include the poles too? Will all the poles be replaced or
Yep.
just the signs?
Yes.
Okay. And if need be, I mean, we're trying to figure out where we're gonna go with this money, how much extra we might have, if we need to pull money from somewhere else to raise that up to the,
If you wanted to replace
we
a
wanna
larger
do the
number of signs
entire
or something in the
project.
money that was available.
yeah, at this 90-10, we wanna do the entire project, but we just wanna make sure before we deplete our funds somewhere, that we've got money to make sure we're able to, do this project in full.
Well, after the inventory is complete and we get a true number of signs that we're dealing with here, and the sizes and shapes of those that need to be replaced, we'll be able to provide a better construction cost estimate to replace all the signs in the city. I mean, you'll know the total amount that it could cost versus the amount that you have available under this project to fund.
Okay, and that's what we're looking at, because we're looking maybe 6 months down the road, can we use this money for paving or sidewalks, whatever?
Right.
So we need to make sure that we hold back enough money to fulfill this, entire amount.
Yeah, just specifically under this project, you'll have this amount of guaranteed local funding, but there could be more funding to it if you so desire, or those funds could be for other projects.
Any other questions from board members? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the consulting contract between United Consulting and the City of Beech Grove, and the amount shall not exceed $94,000.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye as well, and the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, Bill Hall with United Consulting, and I've been working with the city on various projects since about 1980, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you for this opportunity to do this project with the city. So thank you very much.
You are welcome, Bill. Your company is there's some excellent companies out there, and yours is one of them. So I thank you. Thank you, Board. Next, 2014 Stormwater Professional Services. Wessler, Mary from Wessler. Good evening, Mary.
Yes, as you mentioned, we have a on-call contract that is, there's an amendment for your consideration. And it is for the 2014 services related to stormwater. And just a quick summary of some of the things that we do under that contract. The primary function is for the MS4 permit, which is the regulatory requirement for pollution prevention. There's a lot of tasks and activities that go on with that permit, with annual reporting and site inspections and education and illicit discharge detection and things like that. And we just help to help follow some of those tasks throughout the year, make sure they're being completed, and help coordinate with the regulatory agency when it's necessary. We also, aside from permitting, we follow up on drainage complaints. Whenever there are drainage complaints in the city, we follow up on those and write up reports so that the city is aware of potential solutions to repair some of those drainage complaints. And then, anything else on call that might come up, there's some available budget to get some of those unforeseen issues that might come up throughout the year. Any questions?
And you said this is reoccurring from previous years?
Yes, I think it's an Amendment 5 or Amendment 6.
4.
Oh, 4, thank you. Amendment 4.
Okay, if there's not any questions or comments from board members, I'll ask for a motion to approve Amendment Number 4 to the agreement between the City of Beech Grove and Wessler Engineering for stormwater professional services for 2014, not to exceed $15,000.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Mary. That concludes new business. We'll revert back to number 4, approval of claims. The first docket of claims dated January the 6th, 2014. There's payable vouchers, 27 pages, in the amount of $2,251,546.52. The floor is open for questions or comments.
Dan and I spoke about these during the emergency on January the 7th, and he answered all my questions.
And I have none.
I want to point out on page 20, there's one claim that we paid to the Bank of New York, and it was for the tax anticipation warrant. The principal payment for 2013 was $1,236,607. So that was over half of the corporation claims for this period. And that's, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. The interest on that was $9,635.23 also, because it's broken down into principal and interest. And that was paid off on December 26th, wire transfer.
So if there's not any questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims for January the 6th, 2014
I'll make that.
in the amount of $2,251,546.52.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Board, the next corporate claims that we will review is dated January the 21st, 2014. payable vouchers of 23 pages in the amount of $761,933.56. The floor is open for questions.
Well, I do have a question, but it's more on the lines of, I don't know what page 22, about Kip Toys. We got, I think it was evidently the police, but they bought something for the kids, I believe.
Right.
that what they
In the
did?
amount of $157. This is handcuffs, I think, that they pass out at the Fall Festival or whatever.
Okay.
But yes, that's what that was for.
I have a question on page 18, Indianapolis Planning,
Okay.
LRS Street and Alley invoice for $4,642. The very last one, Dan,
Okay.
page 18.
Brad, do you know what this one's for? It's,
That's not for the GPS and street guides, is it?
that I will have to actually check on because off the top of my head, I don't know what it's for either. And I can let you know what that's for. I'll find out tomorrow and email you.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Got lots of ice melt, don't we? I have no further questions.
Ed,
And I have none.
if there's no questions or comments, ask for a motion to approve the January 21st, 2014 corporate claims in the amount of $761,933.56.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes all of our new business. Comments from board members?
Well, thanks for everyone coming out. This evening is pretty cold and snowy out there, so be safe.
I have none. Thank you.
Okay, if not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
The Board of Works meeting is adjourned at 6:54 PM. We will meet again on Monday, February the 3rd, 6 PM in these same chambers. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Common Council meeting for Tuesday, January the 21st, 2014. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each council member to introduce himself, beginning on my far right.
Dave Mobley, City Council at Large.
John Jennings, District 4.
Dave Harrison, District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Anthony Davidson, District 3.
Ed Bell, District 2.
Kathy Coates, Council at Large.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, council members. At this time, we'll do a special presentation from Lance Radcliffe. Lance is with the Interlocal Association. Lance, come to the podium, please.
Good evening, council members. My name again is Lance Ratliff. I'm the Executive Director for Interlocal Association, and I'm here this evening to give you a little background on the organization and what it does. And we're here this evening asking for your continued support of the organization. So With that, Interlocal is an intergovernmental entity. You have a packet of materials. I think the green sheet gives you a lot of the details. We've been around since 1973. The organization was formed by the mayors of several small cities here in central Indiana. Mayor Elton Geschweiler was one of the founding members of the group back in the 70s. The purpose of the organization is to provide planning and administrative support for various community development programs, including workforce development. We have, for the last 40-some years, been very active in working with the regional workforce boards. We currently have contracts to oversee the Work One offices throughout the donut counties within this region. You have a packet in your folder, or a sheet in your folder, that talks about the Work One offices, some of the things they do. As I mentioned, we have been around for several years. When the organization was formed, it was set up on the basis that every 5 years, each of the member cities would take a look at the organization, what it's doing, has it been accountable, and so forth, and determine whether or not they wanted to continue to participate with the group. I would mention that we have an annual CPA audit. We do carry liability insurance. We are bonded for employee fidelity. And I think most importantly, over the last many years, we've spent $122 million in federal workforce training money without any disallowed costs. None of those funds have ever been determined to be used improperly. We've maintained good performance with the programs in terms of serving people, enrolling them, placing them in jobs, and helping them with their training. We have been involved, as I mentioned, for several years here in central Indiana, working with the various workforce boards. We coordinate with all the surrounding areas as well, Indianapolis, Marion County, and the next ring of counties adjacent to the so-called donut counties. The information in your packet, I think, shows you how many customers we have. We get about 50,000 people that visit at least one time, or at least once a month, over the course of a year within our 7 offices. Of those, we have about 1,100 people who've been enrolled this year in specific programs to help them find jobs, and we've placed over 70% of those people. So we're meeting our standards as prescribed by the Department of Labor in the state of Indiana. And that's kind of a quick overview of the organization. Are there any specific questions about the organization? Okay, if not, hopefully that gives you a good overview and you have some reference materials in your folder. So thank you for your time and appreciate your support over the years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lance, thank you. We have a resolution under new business that the council will entertain and hear, and then should they approve it, I'll send it back to you.
Okay.
All right?
In that case, we'll leave and let you continue with your other business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lance. Council members, you have been presented minutes from the previous meeting dated Monday, December the 2nd, 2013. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I personally have read and understand all of the meeting minutes for the December 2nd, 2013 meeting, and I motion we accept them as written.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Petitions or comments by citizens, no one has signed up this evening to speak, so we will move over to reports from committees, boards, and commissions. I sent an email out this afternoon to the Greenscape, RDC, and the Public Safety Committee, asking them to submit their report via email to the council, should they have a report, so we can move with the agenda as being as large as it is. So, Dan, I don't know if you have a report this evening or not.
Yes, I do.
I do want to hear a financial report from the city, so we'll go there and then we'll move to the mayor's liaison.
Okay. Just before I get started here, I just want everybody to know, as of about 5:30 this evening, I finished the financial data for last year. Everything is in the gateway right at the moment that we have at the present time. But everything for last year is done right at the present time. We just finished today. We worked all day yesterday on it. So anyway, I want to go on to this. Today, I got some good news of additional revenue the city will be receiving. There is funding available to supplement the loss of income from Medicaid patients using the ambulance service. The city has not applied for this, but the good news is we have until January 31st to submit our application for the years 2011 and 2012, and until June to submit for 2013. This additional revenue and an improvement in city finances should allow me to add 3 new paramedics to the budget for 2015. The month of December was a busy month as we began preparation for the year-end. 2013 year-end was unusual as there were changes in employees' pay, positions, health and dental insurances that had to be recorded before the first paychecks of the year. Our office has been very busy updating and correcting spreadsheets for all of these. Debbie has taken on the task of reviewing each employee's pay and deductions, comparing it to the salary ordinance, insurance enrollment forms, insurance bills, and health savings accounts. Errors have been found, and I take full responsibility for them, and I apologize. But with that being said, in accordance with state statute, we have to collect the monies. Debbie has done a good job at reviewing, correcting, and updating the employees' payroll, and I have a great deal of confidence that employees will see an improvement with accuracy and a lot less errors. Tonight, you will be asked to amend the salary ordinance. The contract for the police department, which was approved by the Board of Works, included a pay raise for the positions of captain and sergeant, but the council needs to approve those through an amendment. Also in December of 2011, a position of detective manager was added to the police department and a position pay increase was added. That detective has received the pay increase since January of 2012, so the council needs to pass an amendment to approve this position and make it retroactive back to January of 2012. If this council chooses not to approve the new position and pay raise, the detectives would be required to pay back the money to the city. We also completed the 100R on the gateway and sent an electronic and paper copy to the Marion County Treasurer as is required by law. We paid off the 2013 tax anticipation warrant on December 26, 2013. The amount of that was $1,246,242.23. We also received our property tax money, and I have passed out copies of the Form 22 to all of you. The 2014 tax anticipation warrant will not be finalized until January 31st, so I still don't have an interest rate. The amount borrowed was $2,061,133. Last year, the total amount borrowed was $2,294,522. This represents a reduction of over $260,000 from the 2013 tax anticipation warrant. We are in the process of completing the information on the gateway. Federal grants have to be reported on the gateway, and we are waiting to receive information from the police department regarding their grants to complete the gateway. There is a new required report on the gateway this year, which is OPEB report, short for Other Post-Employment Benefits. It is quite extensive with the information that is required. Jeff Peters' office and Christian Duncan are assisting us. We have already created 6 spreadsheets that we have sent to Jeff Peters, and there are many more to create and send. This report has to be filed before February 1st, 2014. The report contains data that the state is collecting on benefit package offered to employees and retirees, including dental, health, life, and vision insurance. Cities just began reporting on the gateway in 2012, and now it includes 8 different applications, which include the budget, the annual report, and the 100R, to name a few. I have highlighted some of the changes below. In the State Board of Accounts changes, we have to report all people employed by the unit for the previous year. This includes part-time, temporary, and seasonal employees. Report total compensation paid. In the past, the hard copy 100R indicated that you should list people that were currently employed by the unit in January when the report was prepared. Compensation was reported as an amount on a per unit basis, for example, $10 per hour or $500 per week. Actual reporting was very inconsistent. Some units reported all people employed during the year and their total compensation for the year. In addition, compensation on a per unit basis leaves out some categories of compensation, such as overtime pay. Per unit reporting can also make it difficult to compare compensation between different employees and units. The city website continues to be successful and is provided at no charge to the taxpayers. A document center has been added under government where minutes, reports, bank statements, and more can now be accessed in this one easy location. We continue to have wonderful volunteers that assist with updating and posting. Their creativity, hard work, and dedication never ceases to amaze me. Please, if you have any community events that you would like posted, email those to me at dan.mcmillan@beechgrove.com. We try to get those posted the same day. There's financial reports, city debt schedules, bank statements, and more are all available online at www.beechgrove.com. The bank balances are listed below here for the council to see, and they're online for anyone in the public that would like to look at them. As always, my door is always open. If you have any questions, thank you. Respectfully submitted, Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Questions or comments? If none, we'll move to the Youth Council. I'll advise the council that beginning in February, Mr. Cox is going to be providing students to update the council on activities and what's going on at the school and in the city, and then that will evolve into the ordinance that this council passed previously. Mayor's liaison report. I don't see the mayor's liaison. I'm not sure. I'll have to get a hold of her again. We'll move to unfinished business carried over from the previous meetings. General Ordinance Number 20, 2013, the amendment for the salary ordinance. And I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please. Or the amendment, I'm sorry.
General Ordinance Number 2013, Amendment. Whereas the chief of the Beech Grove Police Department determines who supervises detectives and who is assigned to work both middle and late shifts, and whereas the city has compensated police officers who work both middle and late shifts with differential pay at a rate of 50 cents per hour worked, and whereas the chief promotes officers and they receive position pay depending upon their promoted position, and whereas the payment for shift differential and detective supervision was left off of the salary ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the salary ordinance for 2014. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that the following be amended into the salary ordinance for 2014. A, page 5, section 6, shift differential for the police department. Each police officer who works between 2 p.m. and 6 a.m. each day shall receive a shift differential of $1 per physical hour worked. Currently, each police officer is paid 50 cents per physical hour worked. This was left out of the salary ordinance for 2014. B, page 4, line 15, detective supervisor pay for the police department. Please add the detective supervisor $96.15. This was left out of the salary ordinance for 2014. C, page 4, line 9, captain, changed from $173.08 to $230.76. D, page 4, line 11, sergeant, changed from $38.46 to $96.15. Now therefore be it ordained that this amendment shall only apply to this ordinance listed above. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect immediately after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Floor is open for questions or comments.
Because this is an amendment, we can pass this on one reading only.
Yes.
Scott, does this cover everything we spoke of just minutes ago? Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have a question. Dan, you wrote in your financial report that we need to, as far as the detective supervisor, we need a retroactive back to January 2012. I don't see any kind of.
Right, there's I didn't write this here, amendment, and there's a couple other things. This was not left out of the salary ordinance where it was said it was left out, the entire salary ordinance. This was not done until the last Board of Works meeting in December. So the budget was already done and the salary ordinance was already voted on.
But the 50 cents was left out.
The 50 cents doesn't have to be in the salary ordinance.
Okay.
Okay, but that-
On, Anthony, on your thing, Counselor, I think
Not my question.
I would go back to the ordinance in 2000, the salary ordinance number in 2012 and attach it to that.
Okay.
If not, we're in breach of contract.
I guess I'm just confused, of course. There's two separate issues at play here. This being an impact to the budget as passed in the salary ordinance for 2014. Do you know the monetary impact overall, and is it a substantial amount? I mean, is it something that?
It doesn't affect our category one budget.
It doesn't, okay.
No, it doesn't increase the budget. It doesn't take from anybody else. It's just.
Okay, thanks.
Step up here so that they can get it on camera and on film so people can hear what you're saying.
The budget that was approved, in category one, that money is still there. There's not an increase that we're asking for. The money's there. It was not included in some of the salaries of officers that have retired or left. And that's what we're using from the salary money.
But I would like to clarify that at the same point, this was not in the budget for 2014 per the way it's written.
That is correct. It was the position pay and the salary for the detective and the shift differential were not written in there, but the money's there in the salary. It just wasn't written in.
And that's a result of contract negotiation? Is that the way I'm understanding that, or no?
The contract, the FOP, and when they approached me in December, they wanted to correct a payment issue for sergeants and captains. Last year, you adjusted the lieutenant's position pay, and it put it closer to the captain, so that what they wanted to do is they wanted to separate that a little bit. So when they come forward, and that's what they come up with.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure that. And then may I ask the second question about?
Absolutely.
Detective position? That would, I mean, that money's already been spent. I mean, there's nothing, I mean.
For 2013, but not for 2014.
2000,
But
wait a second.
12 and-
12, 13, he was paid that. If you guys do not go back retroactive to December 2011 when that was approved, he will have to pay that money back. So what you're basically doing is if you approve it retroactive, he does not have to pay it back. Otherwise, he does.
And how was it approved originally? I mean, where did, I guess,
It was never in the salary ordinance, and you cannot pay something that's not in the salary ordinance.
How much are you talking?
About 2,500 a year ballpark.
So that leads me to my first question is, it doesn't say in here that the pay is retroactive. So I don't want him to have to repay it, even though I firmly believe that he won't have to anyway. So do we need to add retroactive in this ordinance is what
I would say to play it safe, absolutely.
You can to clean it up.
Okay. Well, then I motion to amend
The amendment.
the detective supervisor pay retroactive to January 1st, 2012. Is that correct, Dan?
January 1st, 2012,
Okay.
correct.
That's my motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any other questions on the amendment? Now I'll ask for a motion to approve the amendment, including the amendment that Counselor brought forward.
I motion we approve General Ordinance Number 20, 2013, the amended version of the amendment.
I second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please sign the voting sheet. Oh, it was on yours.
We'll go ahead and we can come back and get signatures.
Okay.
Here it is here.
Okay, got it. General Ordinance Number 15, 2013 is up for third and final reading this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance in its entirety, please.
General Ordinance Number 15, 2013 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 72 of the City of Beech Grove Code of Ordinances, Chapter 72 pursuant to parking privileges for physically handicapped persons concerning private business property, local government buildings, schools, and other shopping centers. Whereas negotiating for parking can be made much harder should a person have a disability, and whereas accommodations should be made to assist persons with disabilities park relatively close to the entrance of a building, and whereas persons who do not have disabilities should refrain from parking in properly marked disabled spaces, and whereas the Common Council desires to enforce parking restrictions pursuant to persons with disabilities. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to have local law enforcement enforce regulations pursuant to disabled parking. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council of the City of Beech Grove desires that the following section be added to Chapter 72 of the City of Beech Grove Code of Ordinances. Section 72.08, Parking Privileges for Physically Handicapped Persons. A, as used in this section, physically handicapped persons mean, 1, any person who has been issued a parking permit for physically handicapped individuals pursuant to IC 9-14-5. Number 2, any person who has been issued a handicapped person's license plate or decal pursuant to IC 9-18-11. Or 3, any person who has been issued a disabled veteran license plate pursuant to IC 9-18-18. B, as used in this section, private business property and shopping center mean privately owned real estate property on which the public is invited to travel for business purposes. C, the director of the Department of Public Works shall mark parking spaces on public street for the exclusive use of physically handicapped persons 7 days per week, 24 hours per day. D, the owner or manager of a shopping center or private business property may reserve parking spaces within such shopping center or private business property for the exclusive use of physically handicapped persons at all times that such shopping center or private business property is open to the public. E, physically handicapped persons who park at such designated spaces shall display on their vehicle either a parking permit issued pursuant to IC 9-14-5, a handicapped person license plate issued pursuant to IC 9-18-22, or a disabled veteran license plate issued pursuant to IC 9-18-18. Failure to display such placard or plate shall be a violation of this section and shall subject the owner, operator, or operator of the vehicle to penalties provided for violations of this chapter. F, physically handicapped persons who park at designated spaces shall be subject to all restrictions and requirements applicable to such space including time restrictions and other restrictions imposed by the property owner or management. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires that this amendment be included in Chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this amendment only applies to Chapter 72 and no other chapter. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall come into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. Motion to approve General Ordinance number 15, 2013 on third reading.
I'll make
It's
said motion.
2014.
I'll make said motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Thank you. General Ordinance number 16, 2013 is up for third and final reading this evening. I'll defer to the clerk to read the ordinance in its entirety, please.
General Ordinance Number 16, 2013 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 70 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove, addressing traffic patterns around entrances to fire stations. Whereas the City of Beech Grove has 2 fire stations centrally located to provide fire and EMS protection for the citizens of Beech Grove, and whereas both fire stations are located on heavily traveled roadways, and whereas traffic sometimes has to come to a stop as ambulances and fire engines leave the station on emergency responses, and whereas signs have been installed clearly identifying fire station zones on both Churchman Avenue and Albany Street. Therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to minimize the chances of accidents caused by emergency vehicles responding to calls for assistance by establishing emergency zones at each fire station. Therefore, be it further ordained that the Common Council desires the following amendments be added to Chapter 70 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Section 70.37 Fire Station Emergency Zone. A. There are hereby created and designated areas defined and established as fire station emergency zones, which are defined as that portion of any public way used as a street, road, boulevard, parkway, highway, or alley which is located and contiguously to any fire station where emergency vehicles are garaged and extends for a distance of 300 feet along all streets, roads, boulevards, parkways, highways, or alleys in all directions from the traffic entrance used by the emergency vehicle to enter such public way. B. No person shall drive a motor vehicle on any street, road, boulevard, parkway, highway, or alley within a fire station emergency zone established pursuant to subsection A at a speed greater than that which would allow such person to stop safely and to avoid emergency vehicles. C. The Director of the Department of Public Works shall post reasonable and adequate signs indicating the existence of each fire station emergency zone, their point of commencement and point of termination. Such signs shall warn of the danger of emergency vehicles entering the public way and requirement of caution and reduced speed in such zones. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 70 of the Code of Ordinances as such. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to Chapter 70 and no other chapter. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. Motion to approve General Ordinance number 16, 2013 on third and final reading.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign, please.
I just have a question about that. Because it's been so long since we talked about it. As far as enforcement, is that going to be enforced like a school zone? Or was that how that would be?
It's a,
Sorry.
it's more of a warning sign, and I don't know, it'd be up to a judge if he wants to enhance it, but it's still the same speed limit. It just warns people that it's a fire station area or a fire zone, and alert if they hear a siren that maybe
Okay,
more alert where it could be coming from.
okay,
But it's still the same fine, same speed limit that would be enforced.
okay, all right, thank you.
All right. General ordinance number 17, 2013 is up for third and final reading this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General ordinance number 17, 2013 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to fire lane parking for public buildings. Whereas from time to time, the Beech Grove Fire Department is called to respond to a reported emergency in a public building, and whereas, depending on the emergency, time may be of essence and clear access to the public building becomes vital. And whereas private vehicle parking in these areas could cause delays and other problems which may hamper emergency operations. And whereas persons who oversee public buildings should assist our emergency service whenever possible to maintain open access in front of buildings. Now be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances to assist the Beech Grove Fire Department and other fire departments who may have cause to respond to a reported emergency in a public building. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that this amendment be placed in the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Section 72.24, Observance of Fire Lanes. A, it shall be unlawful for the owner, driver, or operator of any vehicle to park or stop such vehicle or to permit such vehicle to be parked or to stand at any time or to place any other personal property upon or in any fire lane. Any vehicle or other personal property found to be obstructing the fire lane shall be cited by any law enforcement officer with jurisdiction. B, in addition, any vehicle or other personal property may be towed upon the request of any law enforcement or Fire Prevention Bureau personnel that have jurisdiction. The owner of the vehicle's personal property shall be liable for all tow-ins and resulting storage or charges. C, the Fire Prevention Bureau or the Fire Department shall, to the greatest extent feasible, inspect the area surrounding all public buildings, and the Fire Prevention Chief shall determine and establish the emergency vehicle lanes and notify the property owners affected thereby in writing. D, fire lanes shall be established and marked as follows. 1, fire lane shall be 12 feet from the sidewalk, driveway, service area, or other areas immediately adjacent to any building or structure deemed necessary by the Fire Prevention Chief. 2, where acceptable, the pavement of the fire emergency lane shall be marked with the words "No Parking Fire Lane" in large visible letters and stripes of no less than 4 inches in width, installed 12 feet from the sidewalk, curb, or other items adjacent to the building in question. The words "No Parking Fire Lane" shall be between the stripe and the sidewalk, curb, or other item adjacent to the building. 3, all curb striping and language required on pavement shall be marked in yellow coloration with paint or other types of substances that may be approved by the Chief of the Fire Prevention Bureau. And 4, signs stating "No Parking Fire Lane" meeting the Indiana Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices shall be installed no less than every 30 feet apart. E, the Fire Prevention Chief may in designated fire lanes determine that portion of those lanes because of location of hydrants, standpipes, or other fire prevention devices, or because of the necessities for ingress and egress, that any blockage constitutes a fire hazard. Areas so determined shall be designated tow-away zones and shall be so marked and posted. Any vehicle parked in such zones shall be removed at the direction of any fire official or police officer. Now be it ordained that the Common Council desires this amendment be included in the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only pertains to the amendment of Chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. Motion to approve General Ordinance number 17, 2013 on third and final reading.
I have a question first. Would this be the area along the fence, along the football field, and in front of the high school gymnasium entrance?
It wouldn't include in front of the fence because it's a building, but would include the gymnasium, the swimming area, the front of the building.
So me and my big truck that don't have enough room to turn around there now, this will keep people from parking along that curb so that possibly a fire department truck or an ambulance could get in there?
It will give us, the police, the right
The ability to
enforce.
remove those cars.
Yes, because we can't do it now. There's an Indianapolis ordinance, but we cannot enforce that in Beech Grove.
Thank you.
Motion to approve general ordinance number 17, 2013 on third and final reading.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please sign the sheet. That concludes unfinished business carried over from previous meetings. On to new business. January of each month, council, you have to elect a president pro tem, and it's up this evening for 2014. So at this time, the floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Anthony Davis. I nominate Ed Bell.
Is there any other nominations? Need a motion to close the nominations, please.
Make that motion.
We will do it by singular vote, starting on my left. Kathy?
Can we speak first?
Oh, yeah.
My concern, doesn't the council president and the mayor have to work hand in hand? With no disrespect to you, Mayor, or Anthony, in the 2 years I've been on the council, I haven't exactly seen you guys be the most cordial, I guess. And my concern would be, and again, I have nothing, I wouldn't care if John Jennings was nominated, no disrespect, Anthony. Well, I'm just saying, you got to get along, and I don't see this factor happening if Anthony should get elected.
I don't know why they wouldn't get along.
Even in politics, it might not be pretty. It doesn't always have to be easy. But
That's for sure.
we've proved that.
Yeah. Just my 2 cents.
Here's my 2 cents. It could go either way because maybe if they're working together, they could get along better and they would see each other's point of view. That's a point to make. But on the other hand, Mr. Bell has only been president for 1 year, and I think he's got good ideas going forward for this year, and he should be given the opportunity. So those are my 2 cents.
We will conduct a vote by voice vote, starting on my far left.
I'll vote for Mr. Bell.
Myself.
Anthony?
Myself.
Ed?
Anthony.
Anthony.
Okay, the council is deadlocked, 3-3. I would defer to my attorney, but I don't feel comfortable voting on something that is not my appointment. So, as far as I'm concerned, we can table this until the next meeting.
I thought all ties were, I just considered a tie that the mayor's would be to expert, unless you,
The mayor, well.
you're right.
You're
you
right
can-
about
you-
that, but he
He
can
can
table it.
table this and.
No, this is a council appointment, and I would rather the council appoint their representative for them. So what I will do is I will table it until the next meeting.
I accept your recommendation. I agree we should table it.
We will table it till February the 3rd.
Gotta thank Mary.
Council, next order of and I will defer now to the current council president, Ed Bell, for RDC nominations for the council.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll open the floor up for nominations for the RDC. we have two current members here, Joe Griffin and Don Webb. Does anyone have nomination? I had a phone call from Tammy Story wanting that to be on, so I guess I will nominate her for.
She did express interest to me also that she'd be interested in the position.
Okay.
I don't, are you done, Ed? I don't know that I feel comfortable not letting everybody have a chance to speak with Tammy's story. So if we're going to table the council president, I would also recommend that we table the RDC nominations, if that pleases.
Motion to table?
I'll make that motion.
Need a second? We'll table the,
Got a vote, don't we?
all in favor of tabling signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign.
Aye.
Get that, Danny. 5-1. Okay, we will pick this up at the next meeting on February the 3rd. Council, or I'll defer again to the board, or the council president for BZA nominations.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we have three individuals that have said to me and the mayor that they would like to currently stay on as BGA. And that's Joe Hagg, Diana Hendricks, and Julie Weaver. Do we have any other nominations? If not, I'll close the nominations and go forward and ask the council about these three appointments, if we should move forward and allow them to continue.
Are you calling for a vote?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign. I will ask the clerk to read into the record Resolution Number 2, 2014.
Resolution number 2, 2014 is a resolution presented to the City of Beech Grove Common Council to fill positions on the local Board of Zoning Appeals as requested by the Department of Metropolitan Development for the City of Indianapolis and Marion County. Whereas the City of Beech Grove established a Board of Zoning Appeals in 1991, and whereas the Common Council of the City of Beech Grove has 3 appointments to the local Board of Zoning Appeals, and the City of Indianapolis has 2 appointments on the same board. And whereas the City of Indianapolis reappoints or appoints new board members in January of each calendar year by resolution, and whereas the Department of Metropolitan Development requests that the Common Council for the City of Beech Grove appoint or reappoint their 3 representatives for the local Board of Zoning Appeals. Therefore, be it ordained that the Common Council for the City of Beech Grove appoints the following citizens to the local Board of Zoning Appeals for a period of 1 year, commencing upon approval of this resolution. Julie Weaver, Diana Hendricks, and Joe Hagg. Therefore, be it ordained that this resolution only applies for the appointments to the local Board of Zoning Appeals and no other commission or board. Therefore, be it further ordained that this resolution shall go into effect immediately upon passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Questions or comments? Motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please sign the sheet. Council Resolution Number 3, 2004 is a resolution concerning the Interlocal Cooperation Act of Indiana. This time I'll defer to the clerk to read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 3, 2014 is a resolution for the continuation of the joint cooperative action and agreement pursuant to the Interlocal Cooperation Act of Indiana. Whereas it is desirable, advantageous, and in the public interest to enter into an agreement for joint cooperative action as described in the joint resolution and articles of agreement, interlocal association, and as authorized by the Interlocal Cooperation Act of Indiana, and whereas Section 2 of the joint resolution and articles of agreement state that the agreement shall renew for 5 years periods. Whereas General Ordinance Number 18, 1977 calls for City of Beech Grove to be part of the Interlocal Association. Whereas the cities of Franklin, Greenwood, Greenfield, Shelbyville, and Beech Grove are joint members of the Interlocal Association. Therefore, be it ordained that the elected official of each of the following municipal governments approves the joint resolution and articles of agreement, and as the authorized representatives of their unit of government pledges cooperation and elects entering into such agreement as previously authorized and directed, and therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires to renew the agreement for an additional 5 years. Now therefore be it ordained that this resolution only applies to the Interlocal Association Agreement. Now therefore be it further ordained that this resolution goes into effect immediately after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, and tested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Questions or comments from council members?
Yeah, Dan, do you know by chance, is there a fee attached with this?
Yes, but I don't know what it is right offhand.
It's about $250.
250.
A year?
Yes.
I have a question. And was I understanding that he said that the mayor is our representative? Have you attended? I mean, is this a valuable thing to?
Oh, yeah, it's really interesting because not only do you go to meetings, but you also sign vouchers and claims to where this is a federally funded program, and these checks go to pay for people's tuition and job training and get them re-employed. So yes, this is really good stuff. I knew nothing about it before I was mayor, but it's really good, and whoever the mayor is should keep doing this.
Yeah, and maybe publicize it more so that people know that what's available, and I mean, because obviously people are looking for work.
Yes. So
I mean, it sounds like a good thing, so I
yeah.
just want to.
Yes, it's a very good thing.
Thank you.
Any other question? No questions? Motion to approve resolution number 3, 2014.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
Aye.
Please sign the vote sheet.
Thanks again.
I don't even have to get up, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it took me 4 resolutions, but
General Ordinance Number 1, 2014 is up for first reading. This time I'll defer to Councilor Davidson, who introduced the ordinance, please.
Thank you, Mayor. General Ordinance Number 1, 2014 is an ordinance that establishes the Beech Grove Safety Program. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Beech Grove has codified certain ordinances compromising the Beech Grove City Code of Ordinances. And whereas the City of Beech Grove, through its police department, is charged with providing for the public's safety, and whereas the City of Beech Grove collects revenue through its safe driver deferral program, and whereas the Beech Grove Police Department does not currently have a traffic and/or public safety division or program. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to establish the Beech Grove Public Safety Program. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 33 of the Code of Ordinances as prescribed as follows. Add Chapter 33, Beech Grove Public Safety Program. Add Section 33.40, Establishment of Program. A, in an effort to increase public safety, the City Police Department is authorized and delegated to develop and implement a public safety program. B, the program shall provide additional overtime opportunities for officers of the City Police Department. C, officers participating in the program shall conduct patrols focused exclusively on the enforcement of the Beech Grove Code or ordinances and in accordance with the program's metrics. D, all citations and/or tickets that result from the program shall be filed in the Beech Grove City Court. E, the program shall not replace or be in contravention of existing state laws or programs, but shall be complementary to and in aid of such laws or programs. Add Section 33.41, administering the program. A, the program shall be administered by the administrator. B, the administrator shall be the chief of police or his designee. C, the administrator shall establish the metrics of the program. D, the administrator shall determine the number of hours the program will be available. E, participating officers will be compensated at their respective overtime rate. Add Section 33.42, Funding of Program. A, upon passage of this ordinance, an appropriation of $5,000 shall be dispersed from the city's general fund to establish the program. B, after the first $5,000 appropriation, the program shall be funded by receipt of 25% of funds collected through the Beech Grove Safe Driver Deferral Program. C, on a monthly basis, the clerk shall disperse from the program to the police overtime budget the amount of money corresponding to the number of hours utilized. D, the program may not provide overtime opportunities in excess of the program's funding. E, the Common Council may make additional appropriations as it see fits to fund the program. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council has found it just to establish the Beech Grove Public Safety Program. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 33 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 30 days after passage of the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Floor is open for questions or comments.
I would just like to comment to this. My reason for writing this or sponsoring this in the first place is I rode with Night Shift several times and noticed that they're busy, bouncing from one call to another nonstop, and a definite need for a traffic enforcement in the city is needed, and I think that dedicating money and watching this grow over time will allow our officers to increase traffic patrols and increasing the police presence and hopefully minimizing other crimes such as larceny and stuff like that.
Counselor, I think you've seen it. Don't you think that the police department could use more people?
Absolutely.
Do you too?
Yeah, I guess maybe Chief, I guess this is all new to me, so I mean, I get the concept, but really, isn't the fact that we do, if that's the case, we need more officers on shifts rather than, I mean, this is a way to help us supplement it, but this is not a solution, correct?
It's not a solution to replacing officers on the road, but what this does, it will assign an officer or officers to do traffic detail, and they aren't assigned to take runs. The officers that are assigned to take runs, like Councilman Davison said, they are busy. If we can allocate resources for overtime people off duty to come in and do this, they're dedicated for the traffic control part of it. they have a program in Marion County that's been going on for years, and it works pretty well. And it funds itself. I don't know how the funds work, other than through the tickets, but it self-funds itself.
Okay, so it is primarily exclusively traffic ordinance, because
It's exclusively traffic, and it's not for officers that are working. It doesn't take away from the citizens that get your regular shift officers.
and it's for all shifts, not just night shift?
Right, it would be,
However you end up
it would be determined by what our needs are as far as traffic control.
With this, just thinking out loud, the school bus issue we had last year,
It could,
this could fall under that?
it could fall, yes, definitely fall under that.
I would like to comment on this. I talked to the State Board of Accounts. They said that this would not fly. Number one, there's nothing appropriated for it. It's not in the budget, and so what you're even asking to do is not correct.
Okay, I respectfully disagree.
Did you talk to the State Board of Accounts?
Doesn't
But
matter.
You should before you write an ordinance, because it's contrary. You're increasing the budget. There was nothing appropriated to it, so.
How am I increasing the budget? I'm using funds from the deferral program.
No, you
Yeah,
are seeding
gotta
it with
read.
$5,000 out of the general fund.
Right, and then, I mean.
Well, you
there's-
can't do that. It's
Well,
not appropriated.
Well, just like you can't take funds from our officers who are assigned to, let's say, the DEA and put those in the general fund, just like that, right?
No. Anthony, I'm just telling you what they told me. If you guys care to vote, you do what you want to do, but it's contrary to what State Board of Accounts said.
Well, thank you for your information.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from council members?
Do we need to look into this further, Anthony?
I think passing it on first reading and then, keeping it going.
I agree. We have passed everything on first reading, searching for more information. I have no problem doing that again.
I'll second that. If that's.
I motion we accept.
That's my condition, because I want to know more about the initial appropriation and on that. Otherwise, I have no problem with that.
I motion we accept General Ordinance Number 1, 2014 on first reading only.
Second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That concludes new business for this evening. Council comments beginning on my far right. Dave?
No comment. Thank you.
I would like to first mention the tragedy that happened at Purdue University today with kids in college. Hope everything out there turns out to be as isolated as they say it was. It was a one person on one person, not just a random shooting, and hopefully this all stops soon. We're still in the middle of basketball season. If you haven't gone out to watch the boys yet, or the girls, they're fun to watch. It's quality entertainment. You're more than halfway through the season, so get out there and support your local athletes. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have nothing. Dave? Anthony?
First, I'd like to thank Councilman Mobley for the nomination. I appreciate your,
Should have played tonight. Should have played tonight.
along with Councilor Jennings for his
Nothing this week.
vote as well. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out and thankful for our city employees as well. I think we had a pretty nice snowstorm since our last meeting, and Brad and those guys did an excellent job of clearing the streets. I know it was nice to wake up, especially the other day, look out front and have a clear street in front of my house. Thought that was top notch. That's it.
Ed?
Thanks for coming out tonight, and DBW with their, a lot of work out there with the snow removal, widows, and I want to thank the council for the opportunity to been the president for past year and move on and continue, and thank you for the nomination.
Anthony?
Everybody always says but, I thank the DPW, but I am done with snow, so I really don't want any more, but thanks for taking care of it when it comes, so. And thank you, Mayor Dill, for coming. It's nice to see you here.
You, Terry. With no other comments, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Nothing from you?
Makes a motion.
I'll accept this motion.
Meeting's adjourned 8:05 PM. We will convene again on February 3rd. Thank you.